It's Nyannoire, and this video is all about how to make bacon saltfish. Bacon saltfish is a pretty common dish across the Caribbean islands, although some islands call it float. Everything varies, but whatever, our bellies are still gonna be filled the same way. Now, when it comes to ingredients, I'm sure there are slight variations. For example, I used to use baking soda, but now I use yeast. Some people might not use carnation or butter, but this is how I was taught it from my St. Lucian family and friends, and so this is how I will be doing it. And as always, a reminder that I am not a top chef, baby. I'm just a girl who likes to eat, so she has to cook. Before we go any further, I would like to remind you or let you know that almost every measurement in this ingredient list, the ingredients, are approximations. I generally do not use measurements when I cook or when I make bacon saltfish, but I did try my very best to include lists and measurements that would allow you to come close to or completely replicate what I make. Now, when it comes to kneading dough, it took me a lot of practice, probably about a year before I got the right knead texture for my bakes. So be a little patient with yourself. Give yourself a couple of tries before you get it right. Just know that you shouldn't knead the dough too much because then it becomes really hard and tough. There's a sweet spot where it should still be slightly sticky. So when you are kneading, add a little bit of water at a time and add a little bit of flour at a time to give you that nice sweet consistency. For this first knead, you don't have to do too much work. You just want it to get nice and sticky. And then you cover it up and put it in a slightly warmed oven to prove. Do not leave the oven on, please. Make sure it's turned off before you cook the damn thing. Now that your dough is in the oven, proving, you should put your saltfish to boil. Some people leave their saltfish overnight to soak. We ain't got all of that time for that nonsense. So we just boil it twice, get some of that salt out, and prepare our goodies for our saltfish in the meanwhile. Now that your dough is a little thicker than she used to be, it's time to shape her into nice little bake shapes. Now it is time to shape your bakes. You should be adding a tiny bit of flour to the dough. You don't want to knead it too much. There's a fancy explanation about how over kneading it ruins the gluten. I won't bore you with that details. Just know that you should be adding a tiny bit of flour to take away some of the stickiness. You shape them how you want to shape them, however big or small, and then you put them to sit for a little bit more time. Make sure that you separate the bakes because they are gonna get a little bigger and you want to avoid them sticking together. Now, I usually get saltfish without the bone in, but the supermarkets right now are kind of crazy, so I ended up having to buy saltfish with the bone in it. Deboning is not really fun, but unless you want to choke on a bone, you should probably take the time out to either buy it without bones or debone it. At this point, the saltfish is pretty much cooked. You could probably simmer it for probably about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the amount of saltfish. But just keep an eye on it, taste it, season it so that it's seasoned to your liking. And then, enjoy the smell because cooking saltfish, that smell is the bomb. Hello there. So now it is time to shape your bakes. Do not roll them out or reshape them. You've done a lot of work to kind of get it to that right consistency. So try to avoid reshaping it. If you don't have a rolling pin like me, I keep putting it off. You could use your hands to just slightly flatten it. Try not to flatten it too much in the middle because it makes this weird boat shape. You just want to get it nice and a little bit thinner than what it currently is. I will show you an example of what it looks like if it's flattened too much and what it looks like when it's flattened just right. So keep watching. Now, this is an example of how I prefer my bakes to be. Again, you're the one eating it, so if you prefer your bakes to be thinner than a piece of paper, that's your business. But this is just how I prefer it. Now, if you are a food lover like me, I absolutely love when things are fresh out of the pan or fresh out of the oven. So you know damn well I had to eat this bacon saltfish while it was still hot. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you try it. If you do and it doesn't come out the way you like, keep trying it. It took me 3 years to perfect it. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, something nice perhaps, and follow me on IG and Twitter at Nyannoire.